Great to be here.
Thank you very much. David, it's absolutely amazing to have you. I promise you, it's been a while that I'm really looking forward to interviewing you. You
Thank you.
really find somebody with your skills and expertise and the depth of your experience. Please start by telling our fans and our followers about you, David, the person, the human being.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I've been around in the technology space for a long time. I originally thought I was going to be the world's preeminent elementary particle physicist, but realised that I couldn't quite handle the maths of that. Drifted through it through a physics degree, fell out the end of it, and 3 days after my finals finished, I joined a company called IBM, and I've been involved in technology ever since. There was a great kind of grounding to for me in business and technology and the like. Um, and my background covers mostly business application software like ERP and CRM and maintenance management solutions and the like. Always involved with sales and marketing, and I've run divisions of a few software companies and the like. And I'm from the East End in London. I'm about 20 minutes walk from the London Stadium for West Ham United, my football team. We moved back to the East End in 2020, actually during COVID, but that's another story. So there's my wife Kim, my 29-year-old son has left home and is with his fiancée. They're getting married next year, and my daughter is still living here. She's 31.
Congratulations.
My son's into social media. He's sort of like a social media manager, and my daughter is she works for a company called Frame Store, so she's into visual effects and the like.
Yeah, great. Absolutely great. That's really great. Amazing. Amazing. All right. Then I'll start with your permission with the questions that I
Okay.
have prepared, that I have for you. My first question would be that you've been a pioneer in cloud and digital transformation. What's a lesson you've learned the hard way that you think others in the industry still overlook?
Well, I think the crucial point there is that emerging technology and innovation are driving digital transformation, and I suggest that cloud technology kind of underpins most new technology that we're used to today. But the true transformation is all about business and mindset and leadership change, and that there are too many organisations that kind of view digital transformation as a technology thing. It's really about it's a business thing, which happens to use the right technology to do whatever business outcome that you think you need to add to what your organisation does. So for me, it's all about thinking business first and then choosing the appropriate technology second.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on this. David, the shift to digital, I think you would agree with me, isn't just about technology. It's also about the culture.
Yeah.
How do you help businesses realign their internal culture to embrace these new models without losing their core identity?
Well, I think it is all about culture, and I've got kind of like two book recommendations to kind of illustrate it. The first is Simon Sinek's Start With Why, which obviously he started as a TED talk and then expanded that into a book, and it's a good book. But it's all about, and it comes back to the thing that often big organisations get wrong, where they've actually lost their way and they've forgotten what their why is all about. So the first thing is why is it that you're doing what you're doing, and get that right first. And the next book is actually a book by General Stanley McChrystal and Chris Fussell and a couple of other guys that I've forgotten the names of. It's called Team of Teams, and it was actually all about relating their experiences in Iraq War II. General McChrystal was in charge of all of the US operations in Iraq War II, and Chris Fussell, his sidekick, was a kind of SEAL Team 6 person. And they kind of like put all, and I think there's an interesting thing in that people often think that digital, military thinking is behind the times. Usually, my experience is that military thinking is actually at the forefront of management thinking. And what McChrystal discovered was that to get what he wanted done, there were all sorts of teams he needed to kind of galvanize and coordinate, some of which didn't were outside of his organization, and he didn't have direct control of, and so he had to readjust his thinking as to how he was going to manage that and make it all happen. And that's what happens in most digital transformation projects where you've got to actually galvanize cross-functional teams, and you've got to involve contractors and partners that are outside of your organization to get stuff done. And so it needs a different mindset and a different leadership than the old traditional command and control approach.
100% agree. The cross-functional teams. Yes, sir. Um, David, with your experience spanning IBM mainframes to cloud computing, what was, would you say, the most surprising challenge you encountered in adapting to new technologies over the years?
Well, I mean, you're right that I've been around since the time of the mainframe, so it's a long time in technology, and it's just interesting. Obviously, the World Economic Forum kind of splits the Industrial Revolution into four phases, and so um, the third Industrial Revolution kind of starts in 1969, and they haven't actually got an end date for it. I shall come on to that, where you went from the mainframe to the mini computer to, I mean, I was in IBM in 1981 when the personal computer was announced. And then and interestingly, in that third industrial revolution, we had a technology change that happened every 5 or 8 years. And some organizations disappeared because they couldn't handle the new
Absolutely.
technology change,
A
and
lot.
new organizations come up, and you can see those phases happening right into the 2000s. And then I'd argue that 2007 is the year when we shifted from third industrial revolution to fourth industrial revolution, because that's the year that the iPhone was released originally as a closed system, but he opened it up to developers in September 2007. It's
Yes.
when Facebook opened up their platform to developers. It's when we started to use social media in business
Yes.
properly
Yes.
for the first time. Um, it's been a whole bunch of things, and obviously, so we got the other big thing was the shift to cloud. We've been talking about uh, kind of system, software as a service and
Yes.
hosting.
Fast.
2007 was the year we actually started to use the cloud term generally in business. So I mark that as the shift, and then from then on, the difference is that instead of technology happening in nice intervals, there's loads of technology change happening simultaneously, and we've been living that up until this last year or so. And so for me, it's actually the speed, the rate of change is the thing that I pick out as the most important kind of characteristic that I've had to adapt to and get used to, and recognize that there's all this new stuff. And then I'd argue that actually 2023 was the start of, whether we call it the fifth industrial revolution or the third wave of the internet or the AI era. I don't really care what you call it, but we all experienced an amazing explosion of AI when OpenAI had been working on all sorts of GPTs, which we didn't really hear about in the marketplace, and then suddenly they put a chat interface
Absolutely.
into their generative AI GPT, and suddenly we can all try it. Suddenly it's democratized. Everybody's tried it, and everyone's finding use out of it. So I
Yes.
think 2023 is the start of a new era, which is going to change things again. And when we went from one to two, we had to relearn how sales works, and people bought differently from 2007 onwards. Um, we're now going to have to relearn stuff again, because if you add in things like augmented reality, mixed reality, we're all going to get used to agents helping us, AI agents helping us. There's going to be stuff to do with distributed ledger technology. There's going to be quantum computing potentially. There'll be a bunch of other things which will come together and change things again. um, you know I guarantee you, in 5 years' time, we will not be working with the kind of websites that we've been used to for the last kind of 10, 15 and more years. Things will be very different.
100% agree with you. And I would like to speak with you later about AI and how this is changing our lives. All
Okay.
right. This is great. At the Swiss quality, we often see companies struggle with balancing innovation and maintaining their legacy systems. How do you help clients find the right balance between the two in their digital transformation journeys?
It's a very good point, very important. I actually argue that every system's legacy the day after you go live with it. But obviously we've got legacy mainframe systems that are running an awful lot of the most important transactions on the
Yes,
planet, um, and that's that's the world we live in, and that's not a problem. That's just the way it is. Um, so from my point of view, a particular an organisation that wants to kind of transform, be innovative, and work with the legacy systems, they have to assess where they're at in terms of the landscape that they've got. But then it's all about actually not the technology, but the business outcomes. What business outcomes do we need to kind of do for this new way of working that we're thinking about? So I think you have to after you've assessed um, everything, and you recognise that we're not going to just replace the mainframe or the legacy systems. There may be all, um, specific systems where there's no point in changing it. It works as long as I can get to the data in that system to use it for other things as well. There's no point in throwing away those legacy systems unless there's a reason to. So I need a plan. I should be thinking agile, doing things as fast as possible. I should actually be thinking fail fast. And organisations need to think about themselves as what I call being in a permanent state of reinvention. Because basically, if your organisation isn't competing with itself, somebody else will be. So you better get on board and recognise that you ought to be thinking in terms of constant improvement and change is the normal.
absolutely. I'm sure you've heard that Microsoft, among other companies, has already announced that some of its products actually in the near future will be available only as cloud solutions. Like there will be no more on premise solutions. My question to you, David, is this: cloud computing has seen explosive growth. But in your opinion, what is the next major shift that you see on the horizon? And
That's
if I may, how are you positioning the Cloud Industry Forum to prepare for this big wave, big shift?
Right. It's incredibly important, and it's interesting in that we do an annual research project every
Right.
year, and the one that we completed kind of March this year was the first time that when we asked our sample, um, everybody was using cloud computing.
Yeah,
Which is interesting, and 49% of the audience have got a kind of a cloud first approach, and 49% of the audience has got a hybrid multi cloud approach, and we live in a hybrid multi cloud world. I think kind of in my previous answer about how I think 2023 was the start of a new change.
yes,
I think um, yeah, thankfully most of our members are already using artificial intelligence in some way, and we need to kind of be producing even more content and even more help and guides on how to approach and use artificial intelligence kind of properly. But we also need to actually highlight the fact that the metaverse isn't actually quite there yet in the way that it was in the science fiction book, but that augmented reality, mixed reality experiences are the way that you ought to be thinking in terms of engaging with your customers, and that there'll be other things to do with other technologies like quantum computing and the like tackling sustainability within what you do, that we have to help educate our both our members and the tech companies and the market in terms of how they choose the right supplier with the right approach. So from our point of view, it's all about helping educate the market from Cloud Industry Forum's point of view.
absolutely. I agree with you. I would like to hint to all businesses listening to us, would underline those statements extended reality, augmented reality, mixed reality is how you will be engaging with customers in the future. This is absolutely important. David, your experience is not one thing. You really combine technical development, sales, social collaboration. You've done a lot of things. I don't know when you have done all of this.
It's a long time since I've done any coding, actually, but I did do it back in the day.
What would be your advice if you are to give a piece of advice to business leaders who need to bridge the gap between the technical teams and the customer facing departments in order to drive successful digital projects?
For me, the successful companies are the ones are thinking differently, and are actually combining their teams into cross-functional teams, and making sure that the customer-facing people are listening to what the customers are saying, and feeding that into the plan. For me, it's all about encouraging innovative thinking, and um, actually, one of the kind of really interesting things is I think there are important behaviours that today's organisation need to adopt. Some sort of proper collaboration solution to actually get everyone talking in the organisation. It for me is really important. I'm pleased to have been involved in one started back in 2016 within our National Health Service, NHS England in the UK. Isn't just one organisation; it's actually 850 different organisations, because every hospital is a trust, or a group of
Yes,
trusts. Every GP practice in
yes,
the UK is a trust, or part of a group of trusts.
yes.
You've got commissioning bodies and all sorts of different pieces, as well as the kind of like the government and local government departments that are involved in it. So that they put together a collaboration solution called Future NHS, which kind of floats across all these organisations and allows them to talk to each other, and that's the kind of thing that organisations ought to do if they're not doing it already. I mean, maybe they're using email and the like to communicate. Get off that and start using the modern technology like WhatsApp, like collaboration platforms, to actually get people engaged with each other and actually solving problems faster. So that's the key message I'd give to any organisation today.
Thank you very much for sharing this. David, when you see how people adopt, when you see how businesses adopt the digitalization and the digital transformation, and they decide to go down that journey, you often hear decision makers saying that actually they want people to do more with less. Like, this is very often how
Yeah.
this was sold to them, that people would be able to do more with less through digital solutions. In your opinion and experience, what is one area where you think companies often cut corners but actually should be investing more?
Uh, for me, that's an easy question. It's investing in their people. The you know this new mindset, new leadership style that we've talked about in some of the earlier questions, where you're talking about a much flatter organisation without the command and control, and the hierarchy. It's all about investing in your people at all levels. So I think the corners cut are often actually allowing people time to learn and experiment, whatever their job is within your organisation. You ought to have a mindset that you allow them to learn new things, and to invest in the people, because that's the heart of the organisation, and it's the bit it's back to the start with why thing. It's one of the crucial aspects of getting everyone in the team to be contributing, but they'll only do that if you're investing in them, and actually getting them to learn what the latest stuff is, and to understand that as well as X, they need to be worrying about TikTok and the like, depending on what business you might be in.
David, you've been involved with events worldwide. From what you have observed, how does the digital transformation mindset differ between regions like the UK, Europe, the Middle East, the USA, whatever you have seen?
Do you know, it's interesting. I think if I go back, kind of, to 2007,
Yeah.
we had very different approaches in the different regions, but I think there's been a leveling out. I think that I guess maybe here in the UK, our thinking is more data driven, and maybe in Germany it's more to do with different legislative kind of requirements of the particular region of Germany you're in come into play, and so that maybe there are some differences. Um, and maybe in the Middle East, it's because a lot of the innovation is actually government funded, which makes it different.
Indeed,
But I think that
indeed.
um, the actual approach to transformation, there's been so many good books and learnings done. So there are great frameworks and there are great playbooks to help get your digital transformation approach right. And to do some of the things that we've talked about so far today better. Um, so I see there's a leveling up, and there's more doing similar things than differences, like there was maybe in the last 10 years or so.
Absolutely. Tell, tell me, please, a bit about the name Agile Elephant. How did you come with this idea of an elephant that is agile?
Right, yeah, which is taking a back seat because my cloud industry forum role actually takes up about 150% of my time at the moment. But I mean, um, Agile Elephant. I mean, probably the most exciting project that we got involved with is actually the NHS England project that I mentioned earlier, and that's kind of interesting because we met them in 2017, just shortly a month or two after they started. They'd already got to 5,000 users of this collaboration platform, and they employed us to build the business case so they could grow it to 12,000 users. And then we've had a relationship with them ever since, reporting on where they're at and helping them get to the next level. And the most recent report we did with them is in 2023, which was to actually help them do the business case to take it from where they were then, which was 355,000 users across about 40 different kind of work groups, to 600,000 users. So I think that one of the kind of things that struck me is how um, a complex and multifaceted enterprise organization can actually jump on an idea and for it to grow, even amongst all of the complexity and the politics of something like the NHS. And I mean, they're on track for that 600,000 users. The next stage will probably take them to more than a million, which will actually mean the majority of people within the NHS are using that collaboration platform for good. And we actually kind of justified it on the kind of like the boring kind of admin stuff. I mean, that's how we kind of made the business case. But recognizing that actually getting clinicians and people together to kind of collaborate and do stuff. You've got some amazing stories in there that are actually, have saved many lives and done some real fantastic good. It's a really brilliant kind of public sector success story. Is this future NHS thing? And so that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, to just be a little kind of like a part of helping that along. There's a great team of people within NHS England and the distributed parts of NHS that have really done the job. But it's been great to be involved with that.
Great, absolutely amazing to listen to you talk about this. Okay, so now we know what the Agile Elephant is.
Mm-hmm.
In your role at the Agile Elephant, you've been at the forefront of transforming organizations like the NHS that you mentioned. What's an unexpected insight that you've uncovered when working with enterprises that initially weren't open to the change?
Oh, that's a really tough one. Um,
Take your time.
uh, it really is tough. I'm afraid that too often the projects of actually getting across these messages about needing a different style of leadership and needing a different approach have been the things that we've uncovered. I guess. I'd go back to the story I just told, in that the most surprising thing for me has been how big organizations have actually embraced some of these things quicker than I expected to. So an organization like NHS,
Yeah.
the adoption has actually been much faster than I would have expected a large kind of enterprise organization to do. But that's actually part of the reason why that company is called Agile Elephant. I mean, one of the books up there is actually Rosbeth Moss-Kanter's book that fed into Lou Gerson's book about making the elephant dance, which when he talks about his turnaround of my old company IBM, and you know to recognize that actually big organizations can actually be agile and change fast is surprising and really good.
Yes,
And
indeed.
it's like I say, it's one of the several reasons that consulting company is called Agile Elephant.
Absolutely. In the discussions that you've had preparing for this discussion, you said you've hinted that there might be actually an announcement coming soon, but the
Yeah, I'm
date
very
is
frustrated
unsigned
with
yet.
there's, yeah,
Official.
there's something. So yes, Cloud Industry Forum is a not-for-profit trade body,
Okay.
membership organisation, obviously championing and helping accelerate the adoption of cloud technology. And obviously we've kind of said that. I mean, it started in 2009, and here we are in 2024. Cloud's almost a given. Most organizations, or every organization, is using cloud in some form, even if it's only because they're using Microsoft 365 for their email. But then obviously, the important thing is we live in a kind of like a hybrid cloud world where we
Yes.
pick and choose what platforms can be public, what platform, what needs a private cloud, what needs to carry on running on the mainframe, whatever it might be. We live in that kind of mixed approach. Basically, I want Cloud Industry Forum to kind of open out and do and cover more things and be able to actually afford to do more of the education and we're a forum, but I want us to be uh, a proper forum with a kind of a collaboration solution that connects the members, which is one of the things that we've meant to. Do you know, I just recently have had a planning session with a 15-year-old so that I could properly understand um, the Gen Z and Gen Alpha mindset, and
Yes.
to understand how to use TikTok, and
Yes.
to understand that YouTube's okay, but YouTube Shorts isn't, and to actually kind of understand the that um, because I want to engage with them
Yes.
as potential members, because the UK tech scene, as is with most tech scenes, it is actually a couple of 100,000 companies, most of which are kind of small 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 employees, but not much bigger. So I want to be able to address those people and engage with them in the way that they're used to, rather than with X and newsletters and the like. So I'm learning, and part of what we hopefully will announce in the next week or so is tied up with that.
Absolutely amazing. It's really amazing to watch you as you speak, and you show so much motivation and so much enthusiasm for what you're talking about. David, what is the next step in your journey?
Next step for me.
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, this new thing this whatever will be. I've actually already said too much, but
Already.
the thing I'm hoping that we can talk about by the end of this week is where I'm committed to. For me, it's all about. I mean, I've been in the tech industry, and I don't want to admit how long I've been in the tech industry, but I want to give something back. So for me, this is all about helping make the technology landscape here in the UK better, and to serve the technology landscape better. And that's my next thing is to come. I've been CEO of the Cloud Industry Forum for a year, and this year's just been the start of doing better with it.
That's absolutely amazing. I think it won't be complicated to find out how long you've been involved in the cloud and in the tech industry. Anyone
Would
could
you know
just
just
pick up the IBM
that
mainframes and go and look for that and see
so
where they
just
started.
just as an aside, when I was with a software company called that was part of Barn, a Dutch software company called Barn, where one of my colleagues pitched a system to Maersk, where for 360 sales offices, rather than actually install a box at every one of them, he was going to rent them space on a server and run it that way, and that's cloud. And that was in 1998, and that the what started there is actually a product called Twinfield, which is a cloud accounting product, which still exists and is owned by one of our members, one of our Cloud Industry Forum members, Walter Kluwer. So we've been, although we didn't call it cloud, I've been involved with the concepts of cloud for a long time.
Amazing. 1998, I was just finishing my master's degree at the University of Geneva.
And I have to name that the guy that did it is a guy called Andre Quackenut,
Right.
who was visionary in his approach.
Great, great. Thank you very much. David, at the Swiss Quality Consulting,
Mhm.
we often work with SMEs in their digital transformation, and we see their challenges and the opportunities that are before them, and we see how sometimes they have some difficulty managing and leveraging the risks. What's one common misconception SMEs have about their digital transformation, and how do you help them overcome it?
Hmm. I think the common misconception for the smaller organisations is to think of it as a project with a start and an end. And so I think that, usually, back to my story about thinking of yourself as being in a permanent state of reinvention. It's small businesses, it's tough for the small businesses in terms of their approach, but usually they're nimble and they can change maybe quicker than larger organizations, but they need to change their mindset and recognize that it's a continuous process and they should always be competing with themselves to do better.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. It's a process, it's not a project. It's not something that you do from A to B and then goodbye. No,
Yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
agree with you. David, you've been blogging and contributing to the industry since 2005.
Yep.
How has your approach to influencing the digital transformation conversation evolved? And what role do you see content, especially at the era of generative artificial intelligence? What role do you see content playing in shaping the future?
Well, I think it's vitally important, and I mean, I was lucky enough to be one of the kind of part of the advanced guard in the 2000s, where everyone was getting into blogging, and I started in 2005, as you said, um, and actually then, back then, if you talked to me in 2007, I was a social media expert because there weren't that many people who knew about all the mechanics of it. Um, but my sons got into social media, and I had one of those moments where the master has become the student moments with my son
Yes,
about 6 months ago, when he was talking to me about how he might be able to help me in Cloud Industry Forum do better and do more social media stuff. And as we were having the conversation, I was it dawned on me how comprehensive his knowledge was, and how more up to date it was than my knowledge. And like I say, suddenly I wasn't the one giving advice; I was the one taking advice, and it's one of those moments. Um, which is why, when I mentioned earlier, I've gone back into learning mode with my 15-year-old colleague to learn about the new stuff. Um, at the end of the day, social media marketing, you could sum it up in a sentence or two, which is, um, where do your customers and prospective customers hang out? Go there and start a conversation with them. And that's really what social media is all about. So the complication I have now is that they don't all hang out on X. Some of them do. Lots of them hang out on YouTube, so I have to be there. Um, some of them hang out on TikTok. Christ, I'm going to have to learn about how to use TikTok. Um, But it's still the same underlying purpose of getting to where your audience is and having engaging them and having the conversation with them. And if I think about in the early days when I used to blog very regularly, sometimes once a day. Um, and obviously it's got more fragmented now in that we have to be on LinkedIn and we have to be on potentially on Facebook, where we have to be on TikTok, we have to be lots of places. Um, and maybe I'm doing less written content and much more video content. I mean, it's great that we're doing this, and as you'll know, that we have a weekly interview show and a monthly panel session that we live stream. And so video content has got much more important, and we also convert our video content into podcasts. So as well as actually being on YouTube, we've got to be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. So it's a matter of the fact that the intent and the purpose and the strategy has got very similar ingredients today compared to 2005. There are just different places and different platforms that we need to be need to be at and need to be involved with and using. And the trick is to actually be kind of ahead of the curve, so that the next change happens when it's shifting to much more augmented reality and mixed reality, that we're there at the start of it, rather than in catch-up mode after everyone's got used to using that stuff.
Absolutely amazing insights. David, where do you see the role of artificial intelligence, especially generative artificial intelligence, in the future of marketing?
Well, I think we're only just. I mean, if you go to any event today, there's going to be an artificial intelligence component to it somewhere on the agenda. Um, I think that the approach that the providers are making with Copilot and with agents and the like makes perfect sense, because because artificial intelligence is one of those things where it's all about marginal gains. It's all about doing better the different ingredients of what you do. Um, and obviously there are some areas where it's going to make a huge difference. So in health tech, for example, because of the way that you can analyze the data and do the pattern matching, there might be amazing new drugs that are going to come onto the market that only exist because of the generative artificial intelligence that brought that helped generate them. So I think it's crucially important, but it's not stopping. It's going to be different in 2 years' time. But organisations need to embrace artificial intelligence and be using it both for how they engage with and work with their customers, as well as how they internally as an organisation do a better job. So it's like with any digital transformation, it's all about actually looking at it holistically, both inside your organization and outside your organization, and with the most important people being the customers and your audience.
Absolutely. How often do you use ChatGPT?
almost every day, and Gemini and the like. But yeah, almost every day. And sometimes it's. I mean, sometimes it's to trigger an idea, and I'm actually. One of the things that I'm hoping to bring into the Cloud Industry Forum is a new product that I've just come across. That is a new version of something called Tabber Discovery, which is a research tool, which actually really helps you kind of whatever it is. It's a bit like what's that Perplexity. Have you used Perplexity? So if you think of something that combined the answers you get out of Perplexity with something that captures all of that and does the kind of things that you want to do with it, like okay, that's great, but give me a summary of that thing. And that's okay, that's great, I actually want to do a blog post. Hey, that's great, I actually do want to do a press release about this. And each of those things is one click, and suddenly I've got a generative AI kind of uh, giving me the blog post version or the press release version. And so it's things like that are going to help us. And so as well as ChatGPT, I use that a lot as well. and I'm hoping to announce a partnership with that organisation for our members very soon.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you use ChatGPT already today for content creation?
Um, I have a bit. I've tried to. I mean, I've tried to kind of, as any writer, it's frustrating to watch generative AI do such a brilliant job of coming out with coherent stuff. Um, but I'm using it sparingly, and I'm more using it to kind of trigger ideas and to kind of inspire you with the things you haven't thought about. Um, but then getting down to, I mean, I guess that's partly because it hasn't learnt my voice yet. But like I say, it's more to do with triggering ideas for me at the moment. But however, in 6 months' time and a year's time, I know I'll be using it differently.
Absolutely. I published yesterday an article on LinkedIn where I mentioned something, an experience that happened with me. I was looking for, I was trying to create graphic designs for infographics, something visual designs that we could use for infographics. And as I was going through it, I was frustrated by how sometimes you ask it to do something like, for example, draw a circle of shapes
Yeah.
and with nothing inside, and it draws three layers of three circles one in the other, and draws way more than what you asked for, like it's something completely different. And something, just cheekily, something came to my mind, and I asked actually ChatGPT through Dali, of course, to draw a leader. And I insisted on a leader, like a genderless leader among other people, and it drew, of course, a man, as you may expect. And I said repeat, and it drew another man. And I said, repeat. And I drew a third man, and a fourth, and a fifth, and a sixth, and a seventh. And only on the eighth trial, it drew a woman. And then I put the question to ChatGPT saying, why did you draw seven men before drawing a woman? And of course, it realized it has made a big mistake. So it came by saying, actually, it's random. And I said, it's not random. The possibility of this happening is very, very, very small.
So
And then it came with an apology.
that's
How
interesting.
confident do you feel about using ChatGPT today in generating anything that you can use professionally?
Well, this is an important point. I think it's good for augmenting what you do, but you've highlighted one of the most important issues, which is actually it's only
Right.
as good as the data that goes in. And
Yes.
obviously, one of the complications we've got is that the starting point for ChatGPT is all,
Sir.
if it's all the data that's on the internet, you
Yes,
know,
sir.
at the moment, lots of that data is very, very biased. And one of the things that we champion at Cloud Industry Forum is the whole women in technology topic. And I can't remember what the current percentage is in terms of women in tech in the UK, but it's less than 20%. It's something like 17, 18%. Um, and they are all used to the answer you just got with where it came up with a male version 7 times and only a female version only on the eighth.
Yeah.
They're all used to those biases, and it's not just gender. It's obviously LGBTQ issues. It's race issues. It's cultural issues. This is one of the crucial things we've got to get right going forwards with our AI tools that are using large language models, is that we get the data into those large language models that is unbiased, that is correct, so that we know that the stuff that comes out is going to be worthwhile and useful and not have those kind of problems.
How
It's,
will you eventually, David, answer people who say that if we start curating the data that we feed to artificial intelligence models, basically we're kind of preparing it to say what we want it to say. So we are already biased at the origin.
no, it's a very important point. And obviously, there are instances where that might be the right approach, but there are lots of instances where we need to actually anonymize it and kind of have work from the starting point that I'm going to have as few biases in this data set as possible, so that we get the right outcomes and the right answers for that other half of the population that is just as important as the male half. And I have to say, it's kind of terrifying. I mean, if you'd told me when I was a kid, like an 18, 19, 20 year old, that we'd still be talking about these issues, here we are in 2024,
2024.
I would have said, no, you're crazy.
You wouldn't
We'll have all
believe it.
these problems solved by then, because obviously I'm a baby boomer from the kind of the time of hippies and the like. Um, I thought we'd have all that sorted out by 2024. It's horrifying that we still have these problems, and that's one of the reasons why it's really important for me to make sure that I get as a diverse a mix of speakers on the shows that we do. And I mean, it's really tough for people running events because of the fact that the it's less than 20% women. It means that they're it's tough to actually have a properly gender balanced panel session every time, if you're running an event. But we've got to strive and do better.
Would you agree that probably the solution is to start at school level by having proper education that teaches actually that equality in genders is just fair?
I totally agree, and there's and it's gone completely out of my brain, Mark. But so I had a woman on my show about 6 months ago,
Mhm.
who's driving a program that's funded part by government, part by a couple of Cambridge universities, and I'll remember the acronym that it stands for in a minute, but it's gone from my head. But that's all about exactly that, about getting girls and women more engaged with the STEM topics, and more engaged with technology in school. It's a thing that we don't do enough of, and it's great to. I mean, I'm proud that she was on, and I'm devastated I've forgotten her name.
It's okay, you will remember it later on. You can send it to the show. Unfortunately, time is almost up. We still have maybe time for one more question. David, as someone who supports West Ham,
Yep,
right? You
up
understand
behind.
loyalty in a different arena, but you understand loyalty. Do you think sports teams and businesses can learn something from each other when it comes to managing transformation and fan slash customer engagement?
Well, it's interesting. Interesting you asked the question. I hadn't really thought about it that way before. But the core thing there is as a Hammer supporter up the irons, and actually I moved back into the East End so that I could be close to the ground. Um, you know, the at its core, it's a tribal thing. And I'm part of the West Ham tribe, and we're walking along together in the street, and we're singing about our club, and we're shouting up the irons, and shouting. Sometimes they shout stuff that I wouldn't want to say here, but that's the nature of football. Um, and I'm pleased the fact that at my club there are lots of families and lots of women, and it is a family oriented audience. But the key thing there is actually engaging your audience so they feel like a tribe, and so that they want to support you, they want to be your advocate when you're not there. And so a lot of that translates to the way we would like to be engaged with our customers, so that they're actually singing our praises and talking about our product and our services when we're not there. So yeah, there's absolutely stuff to learn from that tribal nature of sports.
David, it was an amazing discussion. Thank you very, very much. Anything that you would like to say to close this wonderful show today?
Uh, only I'm watch this space. We'll be making some announcements soon, and I'm personally very excited by it. So maybe we'll talk again soon.
It would be an honor to receive you again, David. Thank you very much. It was really amazing to talk to you today. Thank you, David. You have a great, great day.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.